when you tell the truth about war, you get censored. When you talk about how Iraq wasn't actually a war to help spread democracy around the world, and it was really a war to overthrow Saddam Hussein, the Iranian dictator slash president, well, president slash dictator, just to take their resources, their natural resources, the oil, as Trump said, take the oil, take the oil. By the way, it's the last podcast with Trump. Last podcast episode with Trump. I don't know how to feel about that. But you know, when you're pro-war, you don't get censored. You know, when you're spreading those lies about Iraq and everything else, you don't get censored. You get MSNBC contracts. You get CNN contracts. You get, I just don't know how to put it. You get promoted to other positions because you're spreading the establishment elitist lies. And so people like me get their content flagged and YouTube takes forever to upload it. And you would think, right, like, why do we get censored? And I've got a few answers. And I think when Jimmy Dore went on Tucker Carlson this week, I think it was either this week or really early last weekend, this last weekend, he said something that I thought was great. And I want to play it for you. And I just want you to sit back. It's about 3 minutes long, but we're just going to watch it. And we're just going to sit back and let's just hear what Jimmy Dore had to say, because I think he's totally right here.
Dore show his views are on the opposite end from Donald Trump, but his views are still hated by a lot of the people in charge. So, Jimmy Dore, how does this make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel really uncomfortable that this new censorship push is coming from the left, just like I warned the left when they were pushing evidence-free conspiracy theories called Russiagate and McCarthy smearing all their political enemies, that, of course, whenever you do McCarthy smearing or Russiagating or things like that, you're propping up the surveillance state, you're propping up the establishment, and they're going to come back to bite you. And that's exactly what happened with Bernie Sanders. He got caught up with doing Russiagate, and, of course, they smashed his campaign by Russiagating him, saying that Russia was supporting him. Exactly. So this scares me because it seems like on the left, they can I just tell you, the Capitol riot did not happen because we didn't have enough censorship. That is a ridiculous idea. OK, Silicon Valley has turned into an extension of the Democratic Party. Glenn Greenwald just experienced that. Right. I mean, what is going on right now is crazy. So just freedom of speech is the first in the Bill of Rights because it's important, because popular speech doesn't need protection. It's unpopular speech that needs protecting. That's why it's first. The war on terror was already used to take away our free speech rights, to take away our right of protection from invasive searches from the government. We live in a surveillance state, and now they're going to use this even more. Joe Biden has already said he's going to use this. They're using it as a domestic terrorism threat. And let me just tell you something. They never sent. We know who gets censored. People who are pro-war never get censored. People who tell the truth about war get censored. That's why I'm being censored. That's why my channel gets throttled. That's why my so this is I just lost 4,000 Twitter followers for no reason. So I don't understand how the left has to keep relearning this over and over and over. And the first person to be deplatformed was WikiLeaks and Julian Assange. And this would be a great way for Donald Trump to stick the thumb back in the eye of these people, is to pardon Julian Assange. If he knows what's good for freedom of speech and freedom of the press, he should take this moment and pardon Julian Assange.
I didn't used to think that, and I totally agree with it, partly because you convinced me through the force of your argument. I think that's absolutely right. So I hope you will come back. Yeah, please.
Can I just say, Tucker, this all started with the failure of neoliberalism. Why did Donald Trump get elected? So they couldn't ever come to terms with why he got elected. So it was corporate lefty journalists who pressured social media outlets to start censoring people who weren't adhering to this official narrative. And that's what's going on here. And that's what's scary. Neoliberalism is a failed ideology. And that's why they're now using censorship to control the narrative, because they can't back it up.
And I hope you made a really evocative point, which we don't have time to explore. I hope you'll come back and explain sometime why people who are against pointless wars get censored, not those who are for them. No one will ever censor Bill Kristol. And anyway, I hope you'll come back on that topic. Jimmy Dore, great to see you.
Okay. I hope you got the gist of that. So, people were censoring. So first off, he talks about how, Silicon Valley is essentially becoming a branch of the Democratic Party. It's a part of the Democratic Party. And why is it becoming a branch of the Democratic Party? Because the Democratic Party, it did a bunch of fucking Russiagating, and it was fake. There was no evidence. Did Trump commit crimes? Sure. Did his Trump campaign people commit crimes? Sure. But there was no evidence that he had colluded with Russia. Anytime you went against the Democratic Party, they now used Russia against you. And he's right about Bernie, where he says, well, Bernie, because Bernie was saying, oh, Mr. Putin needs to stop this, Mr. Putin needs to do that. And what did they do? Because they disagreed with Bernie, they paralyzed his campaign because they Russiagated his ass. And guess what? It's all because you're saying things they don't want. And these big tech platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Apple, Google, they're becoming the part of the Democratic Party where they will say, deplatform these people because we don't like the content that they're spewing. Deplatform these people because they're telling the truth about war, because they're telling the truth about Russiagate, because they're telling the truth about Julian Assange, who exposed war crimes, who's being tortured as a journalist, and his freedom is needed because our freedom depends on his freedom. As people who make podcasts, we need to have freedom of speech. And that's why it's the first in the Bill of Rights, because the founding fathers knew that they didn't have that with the British crown. And so guess what? They decided, well, we need to have that in America. But guess what? We've never had freedom of speech, and now it looks like we're never going to get it. But exactly right. Who doesn't get censored? The people who push endless, illegal, dumb-ass war. That's the only people that don't get censored. Senseless, illegal, dumb, terrible, awful war. Awful. Just god awful. But if you tell the lies about the war, if you prop them up, well, guess what? You're going to get propped up. You're going to get that MSNBC contract. You're going to get to work for the New York Times. You're probably going to get on the board of a defense contractor. You're probably going to be hired by a president, Republican or Democrat, and work in their administration and push for more war. But yet, we get deplatformed. We lose Twitter followers. And the right wing gets shut down. And so does the left wing. So this is why I'm putting free speech on as one of my center platforms on this podcast and on this show is because we need free speech in this country. And by allowing Democrats to use Russiagate, by allowing big tech to make the decision as to what is free speech and what is not, and what should be said and what shouldn't, is a very scary situation because they're going to come after us. And they already are. So Jimmy Dore is making a great point there. And by the way, the Capitol insurrection, he's right. It's not because there wasn't enough censorship where everybody was being censored, your content was being taken down, your channels were being deleted off of YouTube, all of that. No, it wasn't because of that. It was for an entirely different issue. So, I'm tired of the whole Russiagating. I'm tired of the whole war, pro-war shit We gotta stop that. And by the way, CNN is already coming out complaining that YouTube shows, not like mine yet, but like Jimmy Dore's and others, are having a higher audience revenue and viewership than they are. Because what are they spreading? Pointless lies and derogatory news where it's all false and nothing's actually true on CNN, and they're just spreading pro-war propaganda. Anderson Cooper, Wolf Blitzer, Rachel Maddow, all the rest of them who are Russiagators. So, when I say we need a pardon Julian Assange, unfortunately, Trump's a dumb shit and doesn't want to stick it to the intelligence agencies. We need to pardon Julian Assange because his freedom means our freedom. Just because he exposed war crimes, they want to put him behind bars for 175 years. He's pretty much 50 years old. Give him a break. So, I just thought I would talk about free speech yet again. Jimmy Dore put it the best way. I'm glad he did it. And for those of you who say, oh, well, you just want the right wing to post whatever the hell they want. Yeah, I do. And I want you to post whatever the hell you want. And if I disagree with it, I can mute you. I can block you. I can hide your post. I can just not look at it. I don't have to block. I don't have to censor you. Remember, they're gonna you make them censor the right, they're gonna censor you, and they already are, because when they don't like what you're saying, they're gonna censor your ass. So there you go. Jimmy Dore making a great point.